start of the German school year.
After the summer break.
Huh?
After the
summer break, the children, they go to school, they change class, they end of the last,
Yes.
and they start the next level.
So it starts tomorrow, Monday?
Well, in some area, yes, some they already started before, but that's the time where everybody's coming back from vacation and going back to school.
Clear. Thank you. So, in this connection, we will start with a verse spoken by Sri Narada Muni on education. All right. So, Sri Narada Vacha
Narada Vacha
Brahmachari Gurukule
Brahmachari Gurukule
Vasandantu Gururitam
Vasadantam Gururitam
Acharan Dasavanicho Guru Sudhrida Sauridaha So we are dealing here with the basic building blocks of human civilization.
Yes.
So what is this basic building blocks of human civilization? Narada Muni said, a student should practice completely controlling his senses. He should be very submissive and should have an attitude of firm friendship for the spiritual master. With a great vow, the brahmachari should live at the Gurukula only for the benefit of the Guru. So, although Srila Prabhupada often mentions this verse, here it doesn't give a purport. But we'll read other things that Srila Prabhupada said about this. Vishwavadaya Krishna Vistarvakare Shrimad Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Purvani Pacharine Vishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Vanchakalpatarodescha Kripasindu Varshapatikana Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. So some words are especially important. First of all, Gurukula. Gurukule is locative in the Gurukula. Literally means in the house of the Guru, the family of the Guru, Kula. Because Gurus are teachers, and so they have, the ashram is a school. It's both their living place, the house, and the school. And traditionally most Gurus are grihastas. So they have their wives, their children. Interestingly, even Gurus who have children, they send their children to another Guru's ashram. Because it's both are in Vatsalya Bhav, but there is always a difference, right? So a teacher sometimes has to be stern. And the father may not be able always to be stern enough, or should be, a teacher should be objective. Sometimes we see that parents have very idealistic idea of the children. I remember Atmatattva Prabhu, Srila disciple, in Gurukul, he was, once he'd say, one parent came with a child, he said, my child is a Kshatriya, and you should teach him how to send Brahmastra with mantras. And then Atmatattva looked at the children, at the child, and then he told us, this child cannot even shoot Kitra in his own mouth. So he's shooting Brahmastra. So sometimes parents have a very embellished idea of what the child potential, but the teacher has to be neutral, has to be real. Okay. benevolent, but real. Okay, so first thing, Danta, continuously practice control of the senses. The senses otherwise are like wild horses, and the chariot of the body ends into a ditch. So first thing in life, learn to control these senses. Guru hitam, only for the benefit of the guru, there's a synonym, not for one's personal benefit. The idea is that the guru is representative of Krishna, and if we want to learn that we are servants of Krishna, we need to learn we are servants of the guru. Because Krishna, unless you are very advanced, may not talk to you directly or instruct you. Yes, through the books, but the deities, unless you are advanced, you receive special mercy, may not tell you. So the guru is representative of Krishna. The Brahmana represents the mouth of the Lord. So when the Brahmana, the guru, the teacher speaks, if it's bona fide, if it's Vaishnava, then it's like Krishna speaking. And dasa bhat. Look at the translation. Dasa bhat. Dasa, we know dasa, servant. Dasa bhat. The translation is very humbly like a slave. Slave means I have no personal independence. I belong to my master. Sometimes it is said that this represents that. It's like the collar of a dog. It's the first time you heard this, maybe you want to take it out.
Change your mind.
Nicha, submissive, obedient. It's almost like military training in one sense. The military, no, you got to obey. Sudhrida, firmly, Sorida, in friendship or goodwill. Of course, when the guru is qualified, is benevolent, is inspiring, then it's easy. Because you get so much affection, not maybe necessarily in a motherly way, but you get a lot of affection in the sense of this person is really nurturing you to grow as a human being. Now, we need to understand that Srila Prabhupada, in fact, on yesterday morning, we gave another lecture. I don't know if you had the chance to see it online.
But they can catch up later
Well,
because
if you
it's
want,
available.
there's a PowerPoint. We presented many quotes from Srila Prabhupada. His vision for education, Gurukula. Now I want to go even further back. I want to share with you a document. It's quite famous. It's called The Conception of Gita Nagari. Srila Prabhupada wrote this in 1956, so 9 years before he came to the West. And Gita Nagari, Gita, Bhagavad Gita, Nagari means the village, the town. So he had envisioned how a town centered on the Gita would work. You heard this Gita Nagari conception? Okay. And it was, this is a note, this typed manuscript contained 5 pages through 24 of a typed manuscript, and the first part is a partial copy of the last part of this. Anyway, it's a document which was there. Part of it was published in Back to Godhead in the 50s, and part of it was not. But the document is there, it was found. This was Srila Prabhupada's idea. So I'll read something from there because it connects with what we just read before. After the construction of the temple of Sri Parthasarathi, since the Gita Nagari is so Parthasarathi temple, at Gita Nagari, the next program of work in the Gita Nagari would be to start one academic educational institution under the name of Gita School or Gita Pathashala. This educational institution shall be conducted as a brahmacharya ashram of the Gurukula system. In this institution, children not exceeding 7 years of age shall be admitted, and they shall be educated up to the age of 20 years. So, the idea was not to take children older than 7, and then they will stay till 20, for 13 years of study. I continue reading. Equipping them with sound body and sound mind, so that they may be ideal householders in the latter part of their life, which will bring real peace and prosperity to the human society. In other words, he didn't have illusions that they will all become sannyasis and renounced, but they will become good householders, and so the society will be on strong basis. So, the language for the medium of instruction in this educational center will be Sanskrit and English preferably, unless the governors of the Gita Nagari think otherwise. The children or the inhabitants of Gita Nagari shall get free education with the facility of free boarding and free lodging in this institution. So, obviously, it was not intended as a business. It was intended as a community service. The residents will get free education for their children. Okay, this I found particularly interesting. By a test of practical psychology and by examination of the birth horoscope of the child, with special reference to his birthright, sect and class arrangement, and students from the very beginning shall be given the education of a Brahmana, of a Kshatriya, of a Vaishya, or of a Shudra, as may be the case according to his quality and destined work. So, he says two things. Practical psychology. Now, there are many tests. I don't know what Srila Prabhupada had in mind, practical psychology, but there are many tests to determine the nature of a child. Like, you might have heard about Enneagram. You might have heard about Myers-Briggs, which is also used in many corporates when they take on new employees. You might have heard about human design. Okay. So through different means, different surveys, you can understand the nature of the child. And Srila Prabhupada says also through the horoscope of the child. Because you see the planets, see where the planets are, how strong are the planets, the nature of the planets. And so accordingly, let's say, okay, this person is a Brahmana. You can see that he will be happy in the working in the realm of knowledge, acquiring, giving knowledge. This person is an administrator. He needs to control something. So you need to give him Kshatriya training. This person likes to make money. So he obviously is a Vaishya. And others are meant to assist the rest of society with the skills, practical skills, like carpenters, like plumbers, photographers, computer programmers. So those are Shudras, because they have skills and they get paid for their skills.
Now the whole, by saying what you say, everybody is shattered. Because all these boys who are coming here, they have as many skills with computers and all these things, and you're telling them they are Sudras.
No,
Oh,
I didn't say that. I said that if one has only that characteristic, that somebody can only do a particular craftsmanship, like writing code, that is a Shudra, but not necessarily one who writes codes for a living is a Shudra. Shudra is also a mentality. The main thing of mentality of a Shudra is dependence. They feel, unless I have a master, I cannot survive. So So Vaishyas don't think like that, Kshatriyas don't think like that, Brahmanas don't think like that. So in our devotional community, we have many devotees who have Brahminical qualities, because their cleanliness, they like studying, they're pure, they're pious, and so on, but they work in a salaried situation. So just like I said before, the father may be a little lenient with the son, but the teacher has to be straightforward. So, with devotees, I want to stress the mentality. I give you an example. I knew devotees in the Middle East, in Muscat, Dubai, Abu Dhabi, and the non-devotees, Indian non-devotees, they're always in anxiety of losing their job. Because they all depend, they have jobs, right? They have jobs there. But devotees, those who are a little more developed, they say, well, if I lose my job, I'll go somewhere else and preach there. They don't feel any anxiety. And they were telling me how others who are non-devotees, they always go to astrologers and see, will I lose the job, will I keep the job, should I go, and they're always in anxiety, because obviously nobody can become national, become a citizen of Dubai or Muscat or Bahrain or Doha. You cannot become citizen, you become resident, but they can take out the residency anymore. So, but the devotees say, Krishna, no. And I see devotees who moved from there to Canada and other places, they keep preaching, they keep doing the service peacefully. So it's the mentality, not necessarily the job. It's not that because you get a salary, now you are a Shudra. No, but if you think that without that salary you'll die, unless you have a mastery of that, that's a characteristic. And Srila Prabhupada says this, the educational institution as Gitanagari will, as a matter of fact, try to create a greater number of students having the necessary qualification of a Brahmana by developing such culture in him. Because in this age of Kali Yuga, there is a big scarcity of the Brahmana class. So there are some, you could say, starting points, but Srila Prabhupada through training wanted to create more Brahmanas. Mahatma Gandhi, in the recent time, Mahatma Gandhi at that time was already dead and gone, but Mahatma Gandhi in the recent time, although born in a Vaishya family, developed the qualities of Brahmana by cultural non-violence, equality, restraint, toleration, forgiveness, charity, etc. Therefore, the Gita Nagari, by its cultural propaganda and otherwise, can create any number of Brahmanas, provided the candidates are available. And I conclude by reading this, you'll find probably interesting. The Gita Nagari, however, will not encourage the system of renounced order of life, sannyasa. As in this age, it is not possible to maintain such order of life under difficult circumstances. So this, of course, there is many pages, 24 type pages, you can read here. Srila Prabhupada says something also in the 10th canto, similarly. This was 10th canto, chapter 8. This is when Garga Muni, Garga Acharya, comes and make the horoscopes of Krishna and Balaram. So Nanda Maharaj receives him, he says, "Oh, greatly saintly person, you have compiled the astrological knowledge by which one can understand past and present unseen things. By the strength of this knowledge, any human being can understand what he has done in his past life and how it affects his present life. This is known to you." So Srila Prabhupada says something which I find very important, talking about education. Nanda Maharaj was trying to take advantage of the opportunity afforded by Garga Muni's presence. For Garga Muni was a great authority in this knowledge of astrology, by which one can see the unseen events of past, present, and future. No, but of course. It is the duty of a father to understand the astrological position of his children and do what is needed for their happiness. In other words, a father should understand, what am I dealing with? There is this child born to me and my wife, but who is this child? So, by understanding the nature of this child, then you can engage him in a way that this child will be happy. Unfortunately, although India is the thank you. Although India is the place of Vedic astrology, this is unfortunately is not practiced by the parents. I give you a little anecdote. Me and my wife were somewhere in Western India. I don't want to give too many details.
Can I interrupt you shortly before you continue? I have to go in the kitchen and prepare the breakfast because these boys, they have to leave right after, at sharp at 9 o'clock. And I need to prepare a little bit something. So I'm gonna, not because I'm not interested, I'm highly interested, but they also need to
Eat.
Yes?
I also need to eat later.
Yeah. So please, I will take Mayur with me to help me.
Mayur,
Okay?
our pico, you take our
Yes,
pico.
yes, sorry.
How many people we have online?
Well, I don't know. But even if they are not there now,
They'll see.
No,
Some
no.
of them will
it's
see
recorded and it stays there all the time.
forever.
And for what happened yesterday and the day before, many people checked on it later.
Yeah, like 100
and
people
they,
checking.
Oh,
Yeah, and they made comments to
but
us.
I want to clarify that even only these 4 or 5 people are enough for me to give me full enthusiasm.
Thank you very much. And I'm sorry that I have to leave.
No
I
problem.
want to
We
sit
understand
here,
it.
and actually our standard is to sit here until there,
Of course.
but the need, they have to go, so I need to cater to that.
We
Sorry.
appreciate your sacrifice, and we will also appreciate your breakfast, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So, we were there in Western India with my wife, so people started knowing that, oh, she's an astrologer. So one lady, initiated lady, educated lady, she was a doctor actually, she came to my wife, and she would, you understand English? No.
I understand about vision.
No problem, no
Yeah.
problem. No. So, no, you need to translate now, if you're busy, if you're busy. Anyway, so she came, she was very distraught, very in pain. She was saying, please, I have a great problem with my son. I have a great problem with my son. So my wife thought maybe the son is handicapped, retarded, you know, it happens, right? But she was very in pain, suffering. So, okay. So then, okay, I'll come to your house. My wife went there. And then after a few minutes, the child went home. And the child was very joyful. Little plumpy, even jumped in the gate. And so my wife said, okay, at least he's healthy. And he's quite jolly as a person. Let's see what's the problem. So then the mother said, you know, the problem, I want him to become an engineer. but he doesn't like it. First of all, the son was only 8 years old, so I guess he kind of early to become an engineer. But she was really distraught, no? And she said, "You all our family are either doctors or engineers. Imagine the shame if he doesn't become an engineer." So she and her husband were spending lakhs of rupees, thousands of euros to to change the nature of the child, which obviously doesn't work. And the child was a natural artist. In fact, when he opened the school bag, it was a lot of drawing. Natural artist. He loved art. Huh? And we all need artists, right? Look at the art. We are surrounded by art of different types. But for this lady, it was a huge social disgrace if my child becomes an artist. So my wife saw it. He's an artist. Of course, he's 8 years old. We don't know. He could become a choreographer, a movie director, a photographer. It could be a painter. No, there are so many fields in which he can flourish, even economically. Artist doesn't mean be poor, right? Just 2 days ago, you ever heard about Armani?
Yeah.
He died. Okay? He was a tailor, a designer, but he was a billionaire. So it's not that when you deal with aesthetics, naturally you have to be poor. Okay. So this is a great disaster in India, in the world, but especially in India. See, I live 38 years in India, so I've seen this many times. The parents have an idea that what the child should be, due to social pressure, what their conception is of what's high class. And doing that, they spoil the life of children. Because when you force a child in a path, in a career that is not their nature, this person will suffer all their lives. And it's not by chance that in India, every year, some 13,000 students kill themselves. Suicide. Although they are students, now more students kill themselves than farmers. See, sometimes farmers are very poor, they can't maintain themselves, so they kill themselves, but now more students than farmers kill themselves. Students should be, in one sense, the privileged, because you can study, you don't have to work when you're 14, you can study with years, but there's so much pain. 5% of all students think of suicide. And 13,000 every year take their life. You've been in college? You heard about people killing themselves? You know any friend who killed themselves? Yes?
In my engineering degree in second year, we had a similar incident.
Yeah. So 13,000 means more than 1,000 a month. More than 1,000 a month means more than 35 a day. So that means more than one every hour. So we are sitting here peacefully in Harinam Desh, in the German forest, and every hour one student kill themselves. So it's so important to understand the nature of the child. It is said in India, there is a saying, I'm sure you heard, that when you're born, your food for all life is also born with you. I think it's in the Mahabharata somewhere. But you heard, right? It's the same. When we are born, your food is also born with you. In other words, God puts us in this world. It's very rare that you die of starvation, unless you're born in Gaza. Generally, it's very rare that you die of starvation. And the problem, I speak frankly, the problem is that the society is topsy-turvy. What was top in Vedic knowledge, Vedic times, now is at the bottom. And what is at the bottom, now is at the top. So a teacher in India, maybe you don't know, but in India, if you know, the different careers you can choose according to your marks. Huh? So if your marks are good, you could get, say, you can become a police inspector, right? You can become a civil servant. If your marks are very bad, you can only become a teacher. Am I correct? I'm not saying something is true. So by definition, the teachers are the worst students in India. And my wife had an experience, she was shocked. She went to a school, and this was a program for the teachers, not for the children. Children, we understand sometimes they're very wild, we understand that. But this was a program for the teachers. And she, although she was there with the headmistress, they couldn't get them to stay quiet. The teachers, not the students. She was trying to explain something about psychology, you know, that's her field. And they couldn't stop talking about it. She was so frustrated. It's like, how was it possible? Not even the teacher could be here half an hour. Anyway, and what is the bottom? Means the Shudra, those who are technologists. Technologists means Shudra. You have a craft, and you, and honest, needed. We all need the craftsmanship, technology. We all need it. See, but technically it's Shudra by default, because it's not Brahmana, not dealing with knowledge. It's not Kshatriya, not dealing with administration. It's not Vaishya, because you don't lead with, you're not a leader in production of food or other things. So by definition, you have a skill and you get paid for the skill. So that's the top. That became the top. And if you ask many of the hundreds of millions of parents in India, they would say that their dream is that the children become engineers. Am I correct? You're coming from India? So, you have an Indian passport? Okay. Am I correct? Am I saying the truth or not? And so, they aspire to see them, the best is to go, which one school? You tell me.
English medium.
English medium is one thing, but what kind of colors?
There are like fancy school where all this.
Okay, but they even create a caste. It's a new caste. I don't follow it. IIT, Indian Institute of Technology. Huh? And the funny thing, I look at you, but I'm talking to them. The funny thing is, according to certain, I have here, according to certain rankings, there is not even one university in India in the first 1,000. There are different rankings, okay? But according to the academic ranking of World University, Shanghai, not even one university is in the first 1,000 in this world. And this is almost inconceivable. Why? First of all, India is the largest country in the world by population. And second, India is the country with the biggest, greatest, most glorious university tradition.
Yes.
Lord Taxila and all those things. So in India, it's not that Indians don't study. Indians study since time immemorial, since their time of recorded history. But now, And I mean, I can tell you this is ChatGPT. Why they're considered so bad? Why? Low international presence. There's very little international faculty. Sometimes zero, which means no new ideas. You just churn the same thing. Very little or none foreign student enrollment. Was there any foreign in your class?
Very less. I mean, some students go to exchange and in top tier colleges like NIT and National Institute.
But very rare.
That's a very
It's
rare.
not like, if you go to a German university in Frankfurt,
A lot of Indians.
a lot of Indians, Africans, South Americans, Russians. Then the faculty to student ratio is very bad. Unfortunately, there is a very poor, in other words, one teacher has many students, so he cannot give much attention, obviously. And limited research infrastructure. What time is it?
Near
8:25.
8:30.
Okay, so I have 5 minutes. I stop here. And any questions, comments, reflections?
You have told the first truth of Indian education system, but how to change it?
It needs to change the consciousness. See, the problem is that where this type of education comes from the British. The model got from the British. And the British model is along the lines and in the service of industrialization. So they the idea was, we have industrialization. When they came to India, they established a type of system to get managers, to get technologists. That's what they need. I mean, I'm not a fan of Gandhi, but he had a different ideas. He had the idea of self-sufficiency, he had the idea of, he was doing the spinning thing every day. So, even Srila Prabhupada says he was sattvic. Of course, Srila Prabhupada also criticized in many ways, but he was somewhat sattvic in his idea of how India should be. So, we need to change consciousness. And consciousness, I don't want to just be the religious hero. Krishna consciousness will save it, but it is like that. In other words, when people understand people need to understand who are them. We are souls, we are not body. What's the goal of life? Is to go beyond samsara. Bhakti, of course, Krishna prema, but at least liberation. They need to understand that. So and they need to understand the laws of the cosmos, laws of dharma. There is no scarcity of food. God feeds even the elephants in the forest. I've seen elephants in India, Tekkadi in Kerala.
Yeah.
You see these elephants all day frolicking around, eating sometimes 50 kilos of food in a day, almost more than brahmacharis. And they don't work. So one needs to understand the cosmos, even, I'm not saying materially, but even a little bit subtle. Even if you don't get to Krishna with a flute, but understand that there is a cosmic balance, and we need to fit in that cosmic balance. Krishna speaks about ugra karma. Srila Prabhupada translates as pungent activities, destroying activities. You can see that many scientists are engaged in the weapons building. But besides that, we can see that sometimes even economically this doesn't work. Last year with my wife we were in America, and so many Indian students there, and they are in constant anxiety because they mortgage sometimes the parents mortgage their house just to let them study. You know that, right? A lot of money. They're loan sharks, huh? Or you want to study in America? And these boys and girls, they were there inside, they hope I get a job. And when they get a job, no, the music is good because I was saying something very important. So, and when they get a job, many times they lose the jobs. You read the newspaper,
Yeah.
21,000 people fired here, 9,000 people fired there. Now AI takes all the jobs because you studied for so long to be an engineer, but now AI is doing your work. So, I don't know your work particularly, but you know, the engineer work. So, even economically is a disaster. Even economically is a disaster. So, we need to understand these things. Sometimes even materially speaking, it does not work. It does not work. So how to change? You know, there are very good devotees who are propagating, inserting, particularly like Chopati, Gauranga Prabhu, is making many inroads in the academic world, and others also. So, slowly people need to understand what's important, how to create harmony between, like Prabhupada say, healthy body, healthy mind, economy, what's really needed. And right now it's all artificial. It's all artificial. It's just all artificial. So, how to change? Slowly, introduce these ideas and save these boys and girls from something that is completely against their nature. I know one person connected with my wife, and he was, since a child, he wanted to be a cook. He really enjoyed cooking. Naturally, he would go and make all the recipes. But the relatives pushed him. No, what is cooking? It's a class, no? And you have to become something engineer. And he cannot. So he got a little degree, some degree like become something, but he cannot get any job. He cannot get any job, or the job that he gets, he doesn't like because he's strictly vegetarian. So for instance, he got a job as a cashier, but then he has to sell meat, and he doesn't want to do that. Okay? So he could have been very happy as a cook. And he could have made a lot of money because everybody eats. Everybody eats. And he could have been happy. And now he's 35, he's still not married. Nobody wants to marry him because he doesn't have money, he doesn't have skills. And see, my wife is from South India, so I remember you have seen this South Indian Brahmana cooks. You've seen also probably in Mumbai, right? They come there. Nice fat, translucent skin, huh? Very nice. They cook, the feast, so they're always in joyful environment, like marriage and this and that, upanayam, something. They're nice. They're very healthy because they cook. They don't stay in front of a screen 20 hours. And then they sit there, they eat, and they are respected, they made the food. And he could have had that life, because he, by the way, is also from a Brahmana family. But now it's a loser, complete loser. So, we close here because it's 7:30, right?
Yes.
So thank you very much. We could talk more, but I hope I succeeded in giving you a glimpse of how far from Narada Muni, from Srila Prabhupada this world is, and how big is our world. Grantara Srila Bhagavan ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Have a great Sunday.
His Grace Count Hea Prabhu Ki
Jai.
Hare Krishna.
So So don't spoil your children. If you and you have children, you'll see, he's an artist, let me be an artist. Let me be an artist.
Better you have spreading Krishna consciousness by beautiful arts here.
Yeah.
Тоже